Swiss Army Man is a movie where Daniel Radcliffe plays a farting corpse. And if that hasn't sold you already, then I'll let you know. This is a beautifully directed, emotional, thought-provoking, absolutely batshit crazy movie, and I love it. The movie opens with our protagonist, Hank, played by Paul Dano, who's an actually pretty underrated actor. Anyway, he's on an island about to kill himself, and then he sees a corpse off in the distance in the water. He tries to get himself down, and he runs over to the corpse and discovers that the corpse is dead. And the corpse has magic powers that include farting, so powerful that he uses the corpse as a jet ski to escape from the island. And now the movie's about the emotional journey between Hank and this corpse that he names Manny and trying to get home. Now, from what I said, you might expect this movie to be a very wacky comedy, like Weekend at Bernie's, and you might expect James Franco to be the corpse and Seth Rogen to be the guy to, make home. But I'm glad it's not in their hands, because this movie has so many layers to it besides the obvious, poop comedy that actually works very well in this movie in a way that it doesn't work in Melissa McCarthy movies. The lowbrow humor is combined with very surreal sequences and very, very dark, clever humor. Very emotional performances from Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. The corpse has some powers. They might be there, they might not. They might be in the guy's head, might not be. Up to you to decide, but not to get too spoilery on the stuff, on his powers. I'll just tell you what the ones are in the trailer. Farts like a jet ski, farts are very, very powerful, and his erections are pointing the protagonist home. I'm laughing at this because it's so implausible, but the movie is so great. I'm sure erections and compasses are going to turn some people off to this movie, but still, you need to see it. After a while of using the body as a tool, Daniel Radcliffe, actually starts speaking to Hank. Manny is very naive, he's very much like a child, but still offers some insight to humanity and what it means to be human, and what's going on in our protagonist Hank's head, and how they interact and how they deal with society. But I mentioned some of the messages in this movie. It doesn't beat you over the head with the messages. They're just spread out naturally through the course of this movie, through conversations and the imagery and the dialogue between Hank and Manny. For example, there's a message, when you see a pretty girl, you gotta take a shot. You gotta have the confidence in yourself to talk to this girl before, something happens the way you don't get to talk to her. But that's just one of many things this movie tells you about. It might not be the right thing to talk to that pretty girl. You might find something better. This movie is very much about your interpretation of life. 5 people could see this movie together and come out with 5 different viewpoints of it. Manny is very perceptive. His intelligence develops very fast over the course of the movie, and when Manny and Hank talk about the societal standards, how you shouldn't fart in public even though it feels good, it's handled very well. It's do the things that make you happy. Why would you do anything else? Why do you care what society thinks of that? The farts are kind of an allegory to hiding your true self, but it's handled with farts, so it's funny. There's a lot of these messages about life and how you perceive it and how you react to it and what you're doing with it that are just naturally, over the course of the movie, spread out. And it's very beautifully directed. And the music in this movie also is great. I'm not entirely sure about this, but I'm pretty sure the score is all a cappella. You hear the voices in the background. I don't know if Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe did any singing for it. I think they might have. I'm not sure. But when they're just talking about the scene, and then a word they mentioned, and it just busts into a song in the background. It's very well handled. This is one of the best directed, choreographed, sound editing, sound mixing movies. It's one of the best. This movie would not have worked if the protagonists did not have any chemistry, and luckily Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe have amazing chemistry together. There are 2 lost souls who really don't have anybody else in their life that loves them except for each other, and it's a very beautiful relationship, and one that I really didn't expect from this movie. Their relationship is very heartbreaking and thought-provoking and genuine, and this movie really leaves you with just either a smile on your face or your heart broken. The movie is ambiguous to whether, it's going on in his head or not. Hank's head, Paul Dano's. But that's really not the point of this movie. The point of the movie is, just talking about life through this unconventional means and navigating your way and discovering yourself. And this movie is so multi-layered. I can't stress that enough. There's so much going on in this movie. This requires at least 5 viewings to just get everything, because I'm sure there's stuff that I missed. The movie is very dreamlike, where is this really happening? It's also very surreal, like, why is that? Why did he do that? How did he do that? But you're really just so emotionally invested, you don't really care, you just go with it. The movie has a very dark edge to it, if you interpret it that way. The main character is kind of a creeper. I actually related a lot to him. I don't know what that says about me, but I saw a lot of myself in the main protagonist of this movie. This is, bar none, Daniel Radcliffe's best performance in a movie. Not sure what else I've seen him in besides the Harry Potter stuff, but he's a good Harry Potter. This movie, he really has no vanity. He goes for it in every sense of the word. You really believe that he's a dead corpse. His facial expressions are just funny on themselves. And man is the real star of this movie. His arc is very heartbreaking and inspiring. And it's very beautifully handled. I can't recommend this movie enough. These filmmakers should definitely be rewarded for just having the gall to make a movie like this, making something so original and out there and creative when you're in a summer full of Captain America Civil Wars and Star Trek Beyonds. If you want to get an insight into humanity and being yourself and life in general, check this movie out. But my recommendation comes with an asterisk next to it. I'm sure your grandma will not get it, okay? If your favorite movie of all time is, I don't know, Iron Man 3, you're probably not going to like this movie. This movie will probably turn a lot of people off. I loved it. I'm a weirdo. I'm sure there's a lot of weirdos out there who loved it. I'm sure there's a lot of normal people who loved it. This movie could appeal to everybody. It could appeal to nobody. It's just so unique. This movie was very difficult to review, and a lot of what I loved about the movie I haven't even talked about, because this movie is so dense. Every single person who walks into this movie will walk out with a different viewpoint and different interpretation of things that happen. I guarantee it. So yeah, don't take your grandpa, because he'll probably walk out of the theater as soon as Daniel Radcliffe propels himself like a jet ski with his farts. Bye.